Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show, a rare Saturday recording, Ziggy, for me and you. Not college football. Believe it or not, this is about the Green Bay Packers, shockingly. And Romeo Doubs has been suspended by the team for one game just due to his behavior over the past couple of days. And I was getting ready to record this morning. I was going to shoot Ziggy over a text because we saw that Doubs was starting to skip practice, and rumors were that he was frustrated with his role. But you never know when personal reasons are listed, whether or not that's going to be something a little bit more serious. And it actually just felt inappropriate to record and just start, get questioning his character, things like that, without actually knowing what's going on. And finally, here we are. Ziggy gives me a call up real quick. I have like a little family event going on. That's why I'm dressed up, although Ziggy claims.
No, you're dressed for the downfall of the Green Bay Packers.
The downfall of the Green Bay Packers. Hey, still drinking the spotted cow. But yes, so Ziggy calls me up and he says, "Did you see Doubs was suspended a game?" And I was like, all right, we have to go record here. So after skipping practice Thursday and Friday, it's become apparent that Romeo Doubs is frustrated with his current role in the Packers offense. And you might question that. Packers fans might look at this and go, hey, he's third on the team in targets right now. He's 20 on the year. He's 2 behind Jayden Reed and Wicks. They have 22 on the season. Like, where is all of this frustration coming from? And Ziggy, you have a pretty good explanation for it. So I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, so I think Peter Bukowski over at Locked On Packers put this pretty well when he said the way the Packers offense is looking, Dontavian Wicks is the X, Jayden Reed is in the slot, Christian Watson is the Z. And I don't think that's what Romeo Doubs was expecting coming into this offseason. I think his position was go to the postseason last year. I had 234 receiving yards. No one else on the team had more than 35. This was my time to come in.
It was 234?
Yeah, 234 to 35 yards. Wow. Right, so almost 200 more than anyone else on the team. And I think his position was, look, this is my offense. I've shown that in the postseason I can produce. It's my time to come in, be the number one, show what I can do, and sign a huge contract. And obviously, you said his numbers are lagging a little bit behind last year. Not hugely, but between there not being an obvious role for him in the offense and the fact that he was expecting, I think, to have numbers way better than last year instead of slightly worse, he's not happy with how he fits into this team.
What's funny, too, is that we talked a lot about the question that was arising over the course of training camp and this whole offseason with the Packers was, who's the number one? And LaFleur got it. Everyone kind of just pushed it aside, saying teams all focused. Even Romeo Doubs said, if anybody's ego gets in the way, we know better. That's just not how the game is. You stay poised, you keep each other up, and you play ball the way we're supposed to. Talking about buy-in for the Packers. And maybe what an angle we didn't see coming was something like this, where it's not, it's not whether or not guys are actually going to produce. It's, all right, are the egos eventually going to get in the way? And it took 4 games until apparently the ego of someone that everybody trusted, all the fans, all the players, everyone who's seeing this right now is saying, I never would have expected Romeo Doubs to be this guy. But it's kind of understandable too. He's a guy, he's 24 years old. He's thinking he's going to break out. And this Packers offense will allow you to have spurts. I think Jayden Reed is actually becoming the guy. But it allowed the other guys to have spurts, but there's just not that ability to really take over when there's so many mouths to feed. And we're not even talking about Kraft or Josh Jacobs at this point. We're just talking receivers. So it's kind of understandable where he's coming from. But Ziggy, my frustration with it, if I were a Packers fan, is that this is a team that's trying to go to the Super Bowl, man. You knew that this was going to happen. Everyone in that locker room understood how many mouths there were to feed in Green Bay. And you're trying to go on this Super Bowl run. It's something where I think you got to just put it aside. I get the frustration, but this Packers team, part of what makes them so dangerous is we talked about how talented they are, but it's the fact that they could come at you in 4 ways across the group. And now if Doubs is going to be going on with this, who knows how long? Watson's banged up again, and he has that history. When you throw out the Green Bay Packers with, I like Bo Melton, but come on, he's not on the same level as the other 4. When you just throw out Wicks and Reed, it's a much different looking offense, a much different approach you can take defensively.
Yeah, and the Packers don't have time to mess around, right? They're 2-2 right now, and I think everybody's optimistic that record will improve. But, they go to Los Angeles this week to play the Rams. I know that's not the hardest game in the world, but this 1-3 Rams team, you can't completely ignore them. And now you're forcing the team to suspend you for a game because you can't be bothered to show up to practice. I know in the media and the way that Gutekunst is talking, he's saying there's optimism on their end that it's going to get fixed. But we're not hearing anything like that from Romeo Doubs. So I don't know if his expectation was that he would come in and be the top guy. I think it feels really hypocritical if the only reason you're coming out and saying we've just got to play winning football is because you think you're going to be the featured number one receiver over everyone else. So these kinds of things can quickly spiral into problems in the locker room, right? Imagine you're Jaden Reed, right? You're having a breakout season. I'm sure a lot of people in the building are happy for you. And one of your teammates is so unhappy that he won't even show up to practice. Like it can create a lot of tension really quickly. And for a team that's trying to dial in, and I won't say turn it around, but play better football than they have through 4 weeks, you can't have distractions like this.
Yeah, I don't even know if I want to say play better football, partially just because Love's coming back. Like they the 2 games they won, they played very good football, but they're kind of figuring it out this season. They're trying to get back to where they were at the end of the year. And yeah, you need Doubs on the field. Like at some point you got to have all these guys going, because they can afford it. Like that's part of the 2 ways you could see it if you're a Packer fan. You can afford to lose Romeo Doubs if you have Watson, Wicks, and Reed all available and healthy. Like you can. But you're just 1 injury away from now having 2 guys. And it's a lot harder with 2 in this league. Than, like you kind of need a 3rd receiver in today's NFL. And on top of that, that's what I was saying before. Like what makes the Packers so scary is that they can just consistently sub in high quality players. And once it starts to crumble a little bit, this is where we're really going to see that this offseason, it was boasted a lot how strong that locker room was, how the leaders there, it's a different feeling than it's really been in Green Bay in a long time, because Aaron Rodgers, as great as he was, there was some turmoil once in a while. This was kind of a year where it seemed the perfect offseason, and kind of maybe underneath some of that like sunshine and rainbows in Green Bay, there is a little friction. So we're going to need, leaders are going to have to step up.
Yeah, here's what you're hoping for is last year, the Packers had to suspend Jair Alexander going into a big game, a game where they were hoping to do better because he had conduct detrimental to the team. It was exactly the same reason. And Jair said he was surprised. He didn't see it coming, but he met that discipline head on. And it seems to have worked out. You haven't heard the same kind of complaints since. He came back to the team. Everyone was fine immediately. I worry for the Packers that Romeo Doubs' concern is a little bit deeper than Jair. This isn't just immaturity. This is wanting a bigger role so that hopefully I think he can collect a payday.
Well, and you can't promise him. Like, you just can't promise him that with the way the team is structured.
But the Packers have shown they're willing to stand their ground, and it's worked in the past. And let's be honest, it's the Green Bay Packers. Everything seems to work out for them eventually. But I do think if you're a Packers fan, there are reasons to be concerned that this won't be as easy as the Jair suspension last year.
I'm wondering what this is going to come down to, because I'm seeing a lot of articles are coming out there, and I don't blame people for writing them. You need eyes on it about trading Romeo Doubs, and like maybe it gets to that point. Like, I'm not ruling it out. I don't expect it to get there. Do you? A trade?
It doesn't make sense for the Packers to trade Romeo Doubs unless it becomes a disaster.
Yeah, it would have to fall apart. And, I'm kind of just sitting back here. I understand that I understand that this is kind of crazy, but Davante Adams is sitting there. It's not going to happen. I'm just saying, like, that there's a universe here where Davante Adams maybe get some interest.
Well, Romeo Doubs has done the classic delete every mention of the Packers from his Instagram maneuver.
One of the best moves.
It gets people traded. It really does. So I don't know exactly what's going on. And apparently, and this isn't surprising, all the teams that have been calling for Davante Adams, the Chiefs, the Steelers, are calling the Packers asking about Romeo Doubs.
Which says something about Romeo Doubs, by the way. If everyone's calling,
people are interested in this guy.
He's good. Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up here. We're just going to have to sit back and find out. I'm expecting him to stay with the Packers. That's my guess. But crazier things have happened. I mean, did not expect this to transpire this week with Romeo Doubs. So it's an important part of the Packers season here, only 4 weeks in. One of their really good players who has been a little underutilized, or maybe just not producing at the role that he wanted to, clearly, is holding out. So we're going to see what happens here. When anything does happen, we'll be one of the first to react to it. So appreciate everyone who came and watched this video. We'll see you tomorrow with Week 5 reactions.